Peace and blessings. Much gratitude to all of you. It's Multiversoul podcast. Thank you for tapping in today. And today I am doing something a little different. I figured I would sit behind the desk today. My past couple videos, I've been out in nature and just absorbing the energy from the universe. And with the weather being like it is right now, I don't need to say any more about that. But so anyway, today's discussion is going to be about understanding. And when I say understanding, I want everybody to really think about what it means to understand. And if you're actually just starting out on your spiritual journey, this is something that I believe is very important. Being able to have understanding first before you can actually start to overstand. Now, to each his own. Some people may disagree. Excuse me. But actually having the ability to understand, it opens up a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways for you to tap into your higher self. Now, I'm not saying that you can do that or you can't tap into your higher self without actually having understanding, but it will not be as magnified as if you actually had that understanding within you. So let's take a look at understanding, right? And I'm going to read the definition, which is probably one of many, but they all say the same thing. So being able to understand is having the ability to have the insight on a spiritually felt level. And I only chose that definition because of the way they worded it. But that is the definition I chose. Like I said, they all pretty much mean the same thing, but this is the one that I thought fit best. And I thought it explained it a little more in depth with, less expression. So when you look at it from this definition of having understanding, and actually, you know what? I'll add more into it. So let's just think about being in, you have overstanding, understanding, understanding. Your understanding would be the median between the overstanding and the understanding. Now, when you understand something, understanding is pretty much you being comfortable in knowing that everything is connected. I'll say that again. When you realize, when you come to a sense of everything being connected, that is a quick description of having understanding. So for a person that's on a spiritual journey, or that's on their spiritual journey, to actually have understanding, they understand that everything is connected. And the understanding comes from your heart chakra. Everything is love. Everything with understanding has to deal with love. And sometimes that love is not always positive. Sometimes it's not always negative. Hence the saying or the term used, love to hate. When you love to hate something, or vice versa, when you hate to love something. So love, contrary to what a lot of people actually know love as, it's kind of a yin and yang. There's good and bad to both sides of it. And then there's a neutral side to it. So when we talk about understanding, and we talk about what it is to understand something, or to understand a situation or a person, what we are ultimately doing is we're saying that you understand how you feel. You understand that you're at one with all. Like I said, you're connected with everything. Everything is connected. Somehow, some way, everything is connected. And once you start to awaken, once you start to indulge and you start to push through your spiritual awakening journey, what happens is the veils become lifted. So then you go into the overstanding aspect of things. When that veil becomes lifted and you start to overstand, understand, understand, overstand. You start to overstand. And in overstanding, you actually realize that the things that are happening, the things that are going on, the things that you see, the things that you experience, these are actually smaller components of something much bigger. If not, deceitful, lies, whatever you want to call it. But in a sense, to overstand something means to overlook the obvious illusions, the illusions of what is happening or what it is that you're experiencing. You overstand that what you see is really not what it is. You overstand that the things that are happening are only temporary because there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger scheme of things behind it. So, back to the understanding and how it becomes a very important part of being on your journey. And before I go any further, I want to thank all of you, all of my subscribers. Thank you very much. Much gratitude, love, and respect. This is only the beginning, and we are moving forward, and we will continue to elevate ourselves, to motivate ourselves, to become the greatest version of ourselves, to continue to motivate each other, continue to raise the vibration of this planet, and to overcome all of the negative / evil entities, negative entities, energies that constantly try to destroy what we are trying to build. So, I've digressed. So back to the understanding. Having understanding is being in the we. There's the overstanding, that is the I am that I am. The understanding leans more towards the we are. Instead of I am, it would be we are. So collectively, you automatically connect and link everything to each other instead of being in an overstanding state of mind. You're in an understanding state of mind to where everything that you do and feel is out of love, is out of purity. It comes from the heart chakra, like I mentioned. So now it's a we are. And that is something that I think is very important. Like I said, when you start to get into your spiritual journey, or as you start to travel, ascend on your spiritual journey, because you have to have an open heart. You have to have a light heart. And at the same time, have the knowledge and wisdom to know that everything that you were told was a lie. For the most part. 99.9, I would say 99.1 or 99.5. But it's definitely in the 99 percentile of the things that you thought you knew, the things that you thought were right, the people that you thought were right, the people that you thought were wrong, the mindset that you had was totally wrong. And when you look at what's going on nowadays, when you look at what's going on globally, people are starting to awaken by the masses. And a quick little story about myself. So I didn't necessarily grow up in with a particular religious background. I went to private school. I went to a private Catholic school. I went to public school. I went to a Catholic church. I attended a Catholic church, Christian church. I even studied Islam. And throughout my journey, until I started to become more aware of my spiritual being, I experienced a lot of things. I experienced what people would consider to be supernatural events. And there were actually situations where, to this day, I still think about it. I would no longer be in this physical body. And when I say that, I want to also point out this. That people believe that when you leave this when you leave this vessel that we walk around in, they believe that it's over. Now, in my experience, and like I said, what I experienced, my personal experiences, I actually proved myself wrong because I know what I experienced. And we won't go into too much detail about that. But for the ones that have ever experienced these types of happenings or awakening experiences, then you already know. Just raise your hand in the comments. But so I had a few on three different occasions, actually. Actually 4 different occasions. And it kind of got me to a place in my life where, well, in this life, where I didn't really comprehend what was going on at the time. But I knew that religious practice had nothing to do with it at all. Because I've always had a pure heart. I've always had a pure heart. And I started to really understand. That somehow, some way, everything has to be connected. There is no way that the events that I went through happened and me actually still be experiencing life in this vessel to this day. So I started doing some real deep soul searching. And what I found out was the religious practice was really a blueprint for something much bigger. If you understand what I'm saying, if you overstand what I'm saying, don't understand this, I want you to overstand it. The whole thing about religious practices were on a much lower level than what was actually happening in the big scheme of things. So then I started, of course, doing my research and going back to the ancient civilizations and the way that they would meditate and their spiritual practices. And what do you know? I said, you know what? There's really a coincidence here on what's happening or what is perceived to be happening here versus what it was thousands of years ago. But you can see how it kind of evolved from this side to this side. Now, as I had my experiences, I really started to ask myself, okay, you know what? What is it that I need to do? Where am I going wrong? Where are my wrongdoings? What am I not doing that I'm supposed to be doing? So then I came to the conclusion that I had to start within. Like I said, my intentions, my heart has always been pure. But even down to some of the people that I wound up coming in contact with and dealing with, I sat back. And this is all part of the awakening process. This is when you really start to think about what decisions or what situations you have been in or that you are currently in, and you start to really reflect. You self-reflect on that understanding, trying to overstand what it is that you went through or that you're going through. And a lot of the times when I started to think about exactly what it was that I was doing wrong, it ultimately always came back to me. So what am I doing? Like, I don't understand this. I really don't. I can kind of see where, things are starting to fit together like a puzzle. But at the same time, I don't understand. You know, there's a thing where people always ask themselves, why me? Why me, right? So, you know, people say, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Of all people, why me? And I ask myself that plenty of times. And like I said, I always came to the conclusion that I was the root. I was the root. And then after doing more research and actually studying spirituality, and as I'm studying spirituality, I start to ground myself more and more and more. And I start to think about my actions. I actually start to think about my actions. Then, after I start thinking about my actions, I start thinking about my intent. My intent. My intent. What it is I feel in my heart. Where is the purity of what it is that I want to do or I want to say or that I'm thinking? Where is it? On what vibrational plane is it on? And then I start to actually test myself. I start to run these little tests on myself to see, okay, well, I know what I read. I know what I read about. So let me apply this to myself and let me see if it actually works. And what do you know? I start getting deeper and deeper into this spiritual awakening process. I actually start realizing that everything that I thought I understood was exactly that. I understood it just enough to the point where I would be able to get the job done. I would be able to just be comfortable enough to be at that low vibrational level to tell myself and to project a reality of me being comfortable. And then I said, okay, well, things are starting to change for me. I'm starting to notice that my reality is starting to change. I start to see things, not really the full picture of things, but I'm starting to ask more questions because now, from an understanding, I've elevated myself to an understanding. Now I'm understanding. So everything that I perceive, everything that I acknowledge, everything that I say is coming from within. It's the in. So now I'm understanding more. Then after I start to understand more and more and more, and I start building on my purity of my intent and everything that I do and everything that I say, as well as everything that I think, I start to raise my vibrations more. I start to be more positive in the things that I'm manifesting. So as I'm doing that, I start to see, like I said, I start to see my reality start to shift. I start to see that a lot of the things that I'm doing, I'm having more of a positive outcome. I'm mastering the obstacles. But the end result is by mastering the obstacles, you master the outcome. And this is what I started to realize. So I was like, damn, man, like, is this something that, like, why didn't anybody ever teach me this? Why did this have to be something that I had to go through, all of these friendships and relationships and situations just to get to this point and start to realize that it was just this simple. If I had just had someone to break it down to me on a level where I could understand. Keyword, understand. Just enough for you to get by. Just enough for your perception to put a veil far enough in front of you to where you don't even see half of what's really going on. You see just enough to move forward, to take the next step. The understanding. The understanding was where I was at this moment. At that moment in my life, I was at the understanding phase. So then I started to really go with what they call the intuition. Your intuition. So the ones out there that know about the chakras, I started to go with my intuition. My intuition. What it is that I felt inside. What I knew was actually right. What I felt was right. What I felt was pure. And before you know it, I was at the overstanding. My vibration had went up even more, and I started to overstand things. So then I really started to dive into, why is that like that? Okay, what's the meaning behind that? Nope, there's something much greater, and there's something bigger that's going on here. And everything around me. And I would run into people all the time. A lot of my older people that I would call associates, and they, man, you're too deep. You're too deep, man. You go too deep, man. Hey, look, I'm just telling you how I see it, and I see past what I perceive. I see past it. I can see through it. I know what I perceive. I know what I see. But I'm telling you, there's something else on the other side of that. And I know a lot of you out there are probably getting the tinglies right now because you're already at that vibrational level. You're already there. Or you're already starting to see that. You're starting to see that transformation. So, like I said, and there's more to that story. There's a lot more to it. But we got time. Because energy never dies. This vessel may rot and perish, but you cannot destroy energy. That is something that they don't tell you. As we are spiritual beings. We live forever. We live forever. These vessels, man, it's like when they come out with a new car. Eventually, you got to get a new one, right? That's how you got to think about it. That's the mindset you have to have. Because your spiritual energy will never die. It will never die. It's infinite. It's infinite. So, most importantly, the understanding. You have to be at the vibrational level. And at that level of understanding, it's very important. So hopefully I reached out to some of you new spiritual chasers out there, and you understand that once you have that, that is your key. That is your key. And to follow your intuition to help elevate you, to help put you in a higher state of consciousness, to help put you in a higher vibration, to keep you in a higher vibration. And if you ever noticed that a lot of people that are in a low vibrational if they're in a very low vibrational frequency, what happens is they have more to complain about than they have to show gratitude for. And we constantly, as chosen ones and as spiritual beings, we are constantly in a battle. We are constantly in a battle with this tug of war thing when it comes to the energy vampires and or the quote unquote leechers. And the ones watching, you all know who they are. You've seen them, you probably already cut ties with them. But that's for another video. We're going to do another one on that one, on the transferring of energy and the importance of protecting your spiritual energy. So, like I said, that is the most important part of being on your spiritual journey, is having that understanding. Having that understanding and having the ability to know that everything is connected. Whether you want to believe it or not, maybe you'll have to go through your own experiences and you'll have to figure it out that way. But you will learn that everything is connected. Everything, every person is connected somehow, some way. How do you think you got here to my channel? I didn't send any of you private invites to my channel. So, but I do appreciate you all. Thank you for the love and support again. Much, much, much gratitude. And if I have the opportunity, if you are out here in the metaverse, just know that I will return the same love, support, and gratitude to all of you, no matter what. But until next time, chosen ones, and all you beautiful souls, it's Multiversoul podcast. Don't hesitate to elevate. Get you some. Peace.